Hi everyone, it's Erin from the Provincial Farmhouse. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to make some Christmas book stacks. We're going to be using the new Holly Lane and Jingle molds and the Harper Decor mold. We're also going to use the amazing casting resin and also IOD's air dry clay. You can find a full product list in the description of this video and all of these items on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. I picked up these hardcover books at an op shop for $1 each and thought they would be perfect for this project. To begin with, I'm using Belle's drop cloth chalk mineral paint over the books, and as I started painting I realized that there were some embossed details on the spine, so I used Belle's sea spray mixed in with the drop cloth and decided to stipple that on to hide some of these details. It also gave the books more of a weathered quality, which if you watch my videos you know that I absolutely love that. So I am going through and I am adding 2 coats to these books before I move on to the next step. Next, I mixed up some of the amazing casting resin. You mix part A and part B together, you stir for about 30 to 40 seconds and then you pour it. Now I'm using the Holly Lane mold first. I wasn't exactly sure which molds I was going to use just yet. I wanted to see them on the spine of the books first. I'm also pouring some resin into the Harper Decor mold as well because we're going to be doing raised lettering. The resin will turn opaque white and will be ready to demold in about 10 to 15 minutes. Next, I'm having a bit of a play around. I've cut up one of the Holly Lane garlands to see if that might work, but decided to go ahead and place my lettering before I made any decisions. We're going with the wording merry and bright, and I will of course have to cast another letter R to make sure that I have the right spelling there. So I'm carefully gluing my letters down with a hot glue gun, and probably not a great idea for me. I do tend to burn myself a bit, so if you're doing this, make sure you're careful. I could also use some sort of super glue. I just really want to make sure that those letters are down tight. And next I'm adding some glue between the books to make sure they stay together. And I decided on a smaller piece of holly and also a couple of bells from the Jingle mold to go on the side there. Now I do change my mind on the position of the bell, and you can see I've moved it there, and I will go back and fix that up. Right here I'm just cutting off any of the extra hot glue. Next I'm coming back in and fixing that spot up where I took the bell off. I am stippling some more of the drop cloth over the letters and my other molds to make sure I've got good coverage. I'm then coming in with Belle's Kudzu chalk mineral paint and a small artist brush. I'm applying it to the holly leaves first, and then I will come back in with a damp cloth and wipe it back to reveal a little bit more of the drop cloth underneath. I'm then adding Belle's Barn Red to the holly berries. I'm now adding a coat of Belle's Satin clear coat. This is going to be a great base for the glaze that I'm coming in with now. It's going to allow me to wipe it back. I love Grunge glaze. I stipple it on and then wipe it back, rather patting it to give it more of an aged finish. If you are not someone who likes a vintage look, you can leave this step out. I'm now going around the edges and the pages on the side of the books and giving them a coat of drop cloth, and then I'm coming in with Belle's gold gilding wax to highlight the details. I'll also add a little bit on the edges of the books themselves. Finally, I'm adding some buffalo check ribbon around the book stack. Make sure you keep watching to see how this turns out. The next book stack that we're working on had slightly longer books, and I am just following the same process. I'm adding Belle's drop cloth and stippling on the sea spray mixture to hide the embossed details on the spine. For both these book stack projects, I made sure to pick books that were hardcover, as I felt that these would be more durable and a better base for my molds. Because of the way that I had the books laying, there were a few sections that I had to go in and touch up. For this book stack, I decided that I would cast my letters in the Harper Decor mould using the IOD air dry clay. I'm dusting cornstarch before each letter goes in. Now I decided to go with clay here for a couple of reasons. One, I'm a bit impatient, I wanted to get it done. And two, when clay dries, sometimes you get a little bit of a cracking effect, and I thought this would add to the vintage feel. However, I did cast the deer from the Jingle mould in resin, as this is going to be going across the 3 books, and I didn't want the clay to crack and break. I also cast the bow from the Jingle mould in air dry clay to add to the deer. So now I'm ready to add my letters. These are quite fragile as they're in clay, and I didn't want to play around with the hot glue, so I'm using Gorilla Super Glue to attach my letters and making sure that they're stuck down well. I did have to carefully bend and curve some of the letters around the spines of the book, but overall I think that they look really cute. Before I add the deer, I am super gluing the books together because I don't want them to shift as I'm adding it. So I'm adding the Gorilla Super Glue to the deer and positioning him across the spines of the 3 books and pressing down, and then I am taking the same glue and very carefully positioning the bow on top of the deer. Just like the previous book stack, I am adding some more drop cloth over the top of the deer and being very careful over the top of my letters because these are still fresh. Once that coat was dry, I added Belle's Satin clear coat over the entire piece. Again, this is going to help me when it dries when I add the glaze. As I'm dabbing on the Grunge glaze, I'm being very careful around my letters again. I don't want to damage them. And then I'm coming in with a cloth and carefully wiping back the excess. When that's dry, I'm coming in with Dixie Belle's Barn Red again and very carefully painting the little deer's bow. And just like the previous book stack, I am taking Dixie Belle's gold gilding wax and adding it to the letters. I'm also adding some to the little deer, his antlers and the bow, and also working my way around the book and hitting those edges. Finally, I'm adding some green buffalo check ribbon to the book stack. And here are the finished book stacks. I really hope that you guys like this project. This is something that you could do with stamps instead. I decided to go with the Harper Decor mold to have the letters raised. I think that the new Christmas IOD molds look super cute on the books. They just add a really lovely festive touch. Let me know what you think of these projects in the comments. Do you have a favorite out of these two? Hit that like button if you like the project. I'd love it if you could hit that subscribe button if you'd like to see more projects like this or furniture makeovers, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss them. You can find your IOD and Dixie Belle products on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Thanks for watching.